How you doing, fellas? It's Bear with Texas Bushcraft. I'm coming here to do a video for you on how to make a Whoopie Sling for your hammock setup. And I actually have one done here right now. I'll show you how it works. This is made out of am steel. It's really strong stuff they use on sailing ships now to replace the big thick lines. So this is am steel blue. It's 7/64. It's actually black. They come in different colors, but it's called am steel blue. And if I'm not mistaken, this 7/64 will hold, I want to say 14,000 pounds or something. It's something ridiculous, absolutely insane. But it's very pliable, and the reason you're able to make these slings out of them is because you're able to squish the fibers and get an object in the center of them. So that's pretty much all you're doing, is taking the one end of the string and putting it back through itself. So and that section right there is called the berry. Where it's going in, it's called the berry. So this is what it is. That's the small end I use to hook to my actual hammock itself. And then this end I'll hook to the carabiner or S-clip or whatever it is that I'm using on the tree. And the way you close it, or loosen it and tighten it to make it shorter or longer, is here's the end of the line here for the big end, the big opening that I have. And all you do is you take your fingers and pinch or pull on the opening, the berry, outside of the berry, and pull on the loose end, the part that's on the inside. And then in order to tighten it up, all you need to do is tighten the berry up, and it'll hold it in place. So if you look, it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, I'm pulling pretty hard on that thing. And in order to loosen it back up, you just do the same thing. Grab the berry and pull the center string out. And on the ends here, I've got it folded into itself, so it's actually inside, like a berry into the end, which makes it thicker so it won't go back through and come undone. So you don't have to worry about that if you're going real quick to take it off or put it away or anything like that. So show you the tools that I use for mine. I've got the am steel blue, which is actually a black color from the one I've got. I've got a knitting needle that I got from my wife. I think it's about 15 or 16 inches, and it's a number 5 knitting needle. So it's the perfect size for me for using for the am steel 7/64. And then this piece right here, which is what I use to pull the end through the center of itself. And all this is the wire portion of a brake line on a bicycle. And you'll get it, and it'll actually be like a 3-ply rope almost, and all you have to do is take it apart, and you get one piece of that and fold it in half and just twist it. And then I have tape on the end to hold it in place so it doesn't come apart. But it's kind of got kinked up from me using it to pull berries, or pull the line through there to make the berries. So here we go. So what I have here is it's about 12.5 feet, almost 13 feet of am steel blue. Forgive the noise in the background. It's my son playing in his little chair over there. So I'll decide how big I want the loop on the back side. And usually what I'll do is I'll take one that I've already made, and I'll kind of use it as a template and measure out. So I know that the berry on the end here is about double what it is sticking out or hanging there. So I'll fold it in half, decide that, and then get this thing back to where it's supposed to be. I'll follow a line down, wrap around, and then the berry, that outside sheathing of the berry is actually going to be a little bit longer than what the berry is. So if you add an inch onto the smaller ones and maybe an inch and a half onto the bigger ones, it'll widen out and end up being the same size. So about right here is where I need it to be for the end. So this is going to be my little stopper on the end. And pull this down. So my end is going to come through right here to right here. And usually I'll use tape to do this, but I'm really not worried about it because I've done quite a few of these. Alright, so what I do is I'll push the strands together, and then I'll put the knitting needle in between the outside strands and just start working the am steel over it, so it wraps around the knitting needle. And then I'll pull it tight and see how long it is. And I want it a little bit longer than that, actually. So let's get that back out. Run it down a little bit further. And I'll usually do it about a 6-inch berry on the end here, and gives it a little bit more stability and allows it to tighten up a little bit better. But you don't actually have to make the end here adjustable at all, depending on how you're going to actually set it up. What I usually do for my setup is I'll put the berry on, or the loop on, and then tighten it up, and that'll hold it on. But you can also do what is it? Can't remember the name of the knot, but it's pretty much just making the loop, use the loop and fold it over itself, and put it over the outside of your hammock and then pull it tight. So you can do it either way. I usually tend to do it this way because I like the ability to be able to tighten it or loosen it if I want to. It just gives me that one little bit of extra versatility on mine. So we'll do this. What I do is I'll squish it down as close, or as squish down as I can get it, and pull the knitting needle out. Take my brake cable and feed it through the hole down the center of the berry that I just made with the knitting needle. And then put the bitter end here through the loop, fold it over and pinch it down so it actually makes it a little bit easier to go through the berry, and I'll pull it through. As you can see, it went through pretty easily. And then that's your first loop right there. And all you got to do is make your end here. And the way I usually do that is I'll decide how big I want this end. I want it about 2 inches into the berry. So you come down a little bit further from there, open it up, put your needle through. They also have an object that works really well for this. I don't have one because I really don't want to spend the money to get one. So the knitting needle works perfectly for me. And it's called a fid, and I've used a lot of those while I was in the military, while I was in the Navy actually. They work really well for working with lines like this. So put that through, bend the end over a little bit so you can pull it through, and then work it on. You don't want to pull this thing all the way through there, otherwise you're going to just collapse it on itself and it won't work like it's supposed to. You just want to pull that bitter end out. And then hold on to this and pull it over itself. And it just makes this little thicker section here, and if you look, when I pull, it won't go through. So it keeps it from closing it, or coming out and undoing itself. There's my loop for that one end. And you can still do that knot that I was talking about. I can't for the life of me remember what that's called, but you can still do that. Just put it over the end here, and then you can just tighten it down on your hammock if you want, so you don't have to worry about it. You can still do it, but this gives you the ability to do it either way. Alright, so my other side that I do, what I'll usually do is I'll take a couple inches between here and here, usually about 6 to 8 inches, and then I'll start my other end here. Hold on guys, I'm going to take care of this. Alright, sorry about that fellas. Alright, so like I said, I go about 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches down, and then I start my berry on this one. And put it in, like I said before. Just Work it down over the knitting needle here. Make sure you stay in there. You can feel when you're getting caught and you're pulling the threads from one of the little strands in here, and you want to avoid that because it'll actually affect the strength of the cord. So I'll go down, and the berry for this section I'd made it, used to make it a little bit smaller, but I kind of got to the point where it was like iffy on how I felt about its ability to hold me, so I started making the berries in this section a little bit longer. So I went from doing them about a foot to doing them about 15 or so inches. So that right there is about a foot, I think. Probably 10 inches or so. But I generally do it a little bit more than a foot. And what that does is it adds that a little bit more stability in the Whoopie Sling and the way it holds itself. So there you go, right there I think is right about where I want it, like that. Alright, so I got my standing in here. And then I got my end here with the loop on it already made. Get that out of the way. Alright, so on my cable, pull the knitting needle out, and you want to do this part carefully because that berry is a little bit longer and it'll scrunch down a little bit easier than the other one will, which makes it a little harder for you to pull the standing end out. So run that line through there, find the standing end, put it through. My son's having a conversation with the dog over there. And then you just work it through the berry, and this part is going to be a little bit tougher than the first one because it's a little bit longer, but just keep at it and eventually you'll get it started. Once you get it started in there, like the whole bitter end, it comes through a little bit easier, so it makes it that much easier to get through once you get it started. There we go. And all you got to do is take the end right in front of where the bitter end is, inside there. Just take that outside berry and just push on it. Alright, so there we go. There's that. There's your berry on there. Like I said, that's about 15 inches or so right there. And then for the end here, you can do one of two things for the end. You can make a loop where you bury the end of the loop in, and that'll hold it in place, and that'll give you a way to put just like grab it with your thumb and pull it. Or you can do the berry like I did on this end, where it's just to hold it in place. And I think on this end I'm going to do a little loop and show you guys how to do that, so there's no questions about it later on if you do decide you want to do it. So what I'll do is I'll decide, okay, I want it that big, just a little loop. Alright, so we'll put it right there. That's where the opening is going to be on one side. And then we'll go down quite a bit on the other side. So down a little bit further than where the actual bitter end is going to be on the inside. Pop that open. Knitting needle goes in. And this is where you got to be a little bit careful. I usually use masking tape and mark off where I want the knitting needle to go in and out of this thing, so that way I can do this a little bit quicker and a little bit more precise. But like I said, with this, I've done it quite a few of these, so it's a little easier for me to judge where I'm going with them. Alright, so that's about where I need it to be. I'm getting a little twisted here, so it's making it a little harder to do. Alright, there we go. So this part, just to make sure that the loop doesn't go through, I'll usually put the knitting needle or a carabiner or something in there to keep it from pulling itself all the way through. There we go. That's what I'll do. Alright, so you see how it almost closed in, it just closed the loop up. If you don't pay attention to that, you'll actually close that loop entirely, and you won't be able to get it out, or you'll have a lot of trouble getting it out. So you got the bitter end here, and you got the berry that's a little bit there, and the loop. So I want this loop just a little bit bigger than that, so that way I can get my thumb in there if I want, or index finger. And then all you got to do is take it from there, where the loop is, from the berry, and just work it down. There you go. And that's not going to come loose. No matter how hard you pull, it's not going to come loose. And it'll keep it from going back through the end here. You can see there. It's not going to go through there. And you can make that a whole lot smaller, that berry right there, a whole lot smaller if you want. I mean, you can just do it like an inch or two into it if you wanted to do that. So this is just an example. And let's see, we'll measure this out real quick and show you how long this thing is fully extended. So right now it's fully extended. I got 1 foot, 2, 3, 4, 5, just under 6 feet. If you look right there, it's just under 6 feet long, which is perfect size, because that if you think about it, it's 6 feet on this end. You're gonna have another one on the other end that's 12 feet, and then you can shrink this thing down to, see what we got. Alright, one thing to watch out if you're pulling this thing tight to do this, just make sure there's something in that loop on the end to keep it going. Some people put beads in there. I don't have any beads right to do that, so I can't show you that, but you put the bead on before you actually put the berry through. So this is actually shortened, so all the way. So here's the shortened length. So it's from there all the way through to there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I measured it out earlier, and it's about 2 feet. So I got it folded in half right now, so I can just see how close it is. So it's probably 2 feet 4 inches, 2 feet 6 inches, so 2.5 feet right there. So it goes from being 2.5 feet long to 6 feet long, and that gives you quite a bit of range to hang your hammock and set it up. And the way that the system I've got is a little bit easier, and I'm actually going to do a video of that, but I'm going to do that at the gathering so everybody can see my setup and that and how it works, and have a couple of people to help me out with the camera, doing the camera angles and that. But my Pathfinder knife should be done in a few minutes, and I'll bring that back onto the screen and show you guys the rest of that. And hopefully I'll get another video done in a couple of days or so of something else. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do on the next video, so I'll keep you informed, guys. Thanks for all the views, guys. Thanks for the post on the forum, which is Texas Bushcraft at .4motion.com, and I'll try to link it in the description. Join the Facebook page if you guys haven't already done that, and the forum, so we can get all your posts. As always, thanks for everything. I'll see you guys later.